I stopped cutting layers into my curly hair a couple of years ago, and it was one of the best decisions I made for my hair. Now, you constantly hear that if you have curly hair, you should be cutting layers into your hair because we want to avoid that whole triangle look that we all fear. And layers are supposed to help with volume. So for somebody who has lower density hair like me, it should be the ideal solution. It should be something that works well to make my hair look more voluminous and fuller. But it actually does the opposite. I have found that with blunt cuts, my hair just looks a lot better. It looks fuller, thicker, a little bit curlier even, and I'm going to explain why in this video. If you have fine or low density hair like I do, then stick around because all of this is going to apply to you. And at the end of the video, I'll share my best tips for making fine, thin, curly hair look thicker and fuller. So here are pictures of my hair when I used to get layered cuts versus when I get blunt cuts. Look at these two pictures and see if you can see the main differences. The first problem that I see with getting layered cuts on my hair is that my ends look really stringy. And pretty much any picture that I take of the back side of my hair when I had layered cuts, they all look like this. Even after a fresh cut, they always look like this. And it's because there's just not that much hair at the ends. It's less hair, so it just looks stringier, right? The curls clump together and it's very, very see-through in that part of my hair. And so the ends just look like thin and straggly, and I just don't really like that look. It's not for me. If you like it, that's totally fine, but I personally don't like it on my hair. And that goes into my second point, which is that layers make my hair look less dense overall. In addition to the stringiness at the ends, all of the middle and lower parts of my hair, right, the lengths of my hair, don't look as full and thick as the top because there's more hair up here. There's less hair the lower down you go. So it gets thinner, it gets more see-through, which means you can see through my hair, right? It doesn't look as full as up here where you can't see through it. But the more layers I get, the more see-through it is, the thinner it looks, and the less healthy it looks overall. Whenever I look at pictures of the backside of my hair, this is really, really obvious. With the front like I am now, it's really easy to just push all my hair to the front and make it look really full. When you put it all together and look at the backside, it really shows the true picture of what my hair looks like. And the reality was that these layers were just not doing me any favors. The third problem I had was that layers were leading to uneven curl clumps, or just not ideal curl clumps. I found that when I tried or started getting more blunt cuts, my curl clumps would actually form better. I was able to split them up more evenly into smaller individual clumps, which led to more volume and more fullness, and my hair had less frizz than when I had layers, even though I was always getting curly cuts. So layered curly cuts like diva cuts and stuff, definitely less frizzy than if I was getting a dry cut. But the problem is that as the hair thins out, the shorter hairs would join the curl clumps of the longer hairs. And so it would just be one big chunky clump instead of 5 or 6 clumps that I would get if they were all the same length and I could split them up. Even if I would split them up before drying, after drying, they just throughout the day would kind of merge together. And so it would even bring down the supposed volume I was getting from the layers because they would just join these heavier, longer curl clumps, and it would make my hair look less full because now we have more separation at the root area where the clumps are forming. So instead of having small clumps like this would all be one big clump. And now this is all getting pulled together, and you can see my scalp here, versus being able to split them up into smaller clumps. So with the layers, they were just clumping way too much. I was having really big chunky clumps, which is not what you want when you have fine, low density hair especially. The lower density you have, the skinnier you want your clumps to be so your hair looks fuller. And so this was having the opposite effect on my hair. And the last thing that I noticed was that my volume really wasn't any different when I stopped getting the layers. For years and years, I was getting layers because I thought it was giving me more volume, made my hair look bigger and fuller. But as I started getting more blunt cuts, I realized that my hair still had the same amount of volume. So I wasn't really benefiting from those clumps. In fact, as I said in my last point, it was making my hair look less voluminous and less full because of the big clumps that would just grab the shorter layers and pull it down. So I really wasn't getting the benefit of that volume. My volume is the same whether or not I have layers. I can use volumizing products to get more volume temporarily, but I just have that hair type. It's really soft, fine, low porosity. It loses volume very, very quickly because it's so silky and soft. So there's not much I can do. There are some things that do help, and I do use those things on a regular basis to give me more volume than if I didn't, but I'm not going to magically have big voluminous hair because my hair type just doesn't support that, and cutting layers into my hair was not giving me that anyway. So I decided to just stop cutting layers. for the most part. The only layers I still get are face trimming layers that you can see here in the front. My hair's actually grown out now, so I wish that I had a cut scheduled around this time so that I could have recorded this after, but that just didn't line up for me. So my hair is all blunt one length except for at the front where I have just some long pieces face trimming layers. So it really, like right up to here is where the layers end, and it's just face trimming layers. So I don't have layers like here. Like this is all the same length. I don't have any layers on the top layer or anything like that. It's all the same length, and I'm finding that this works really well for me. The front I actually like to be shorter because I find they spring up a little bit better. They're a little easier to control. The longer the front pieces get, the more wonky they are for me for some reason, which isn't the case for the rest of my hair. So yeah, I don't mind the face trimming layers. Those work well for me, but the overall layered everywhere look that I used to get just was not working for me. So those are the 4 reasons that I stopped getting layers for the most part in my hair and I started getting blunt haircuts. I do still cut my hair dry, so I go to a curl specialist who cuts curl by curl, but she does it dry and again, blunt cut. This is what's working really well for me. So if you have fine low density hair, you may want to give it a try. If you want to make your hair look thicker and fuller, then watch this video next. It's called How to Make Fine Curly Hair Look Thicker, Fuller, and Less See-Through. And in it, I share 10 ways that I make my hair look thicker. So just click the video you see on your screen and I'll see you there.